Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. With my recent dive into Doodle World and the recent second key update, I thought today would be as good as any to discuss the starters and their evolutions. For many people who start their monster taming journey, starter evolutions are imperative because while you might like the first form of your starter, the final evolution might be so off-putting that you decide to go with another entry, or you just find one that you prefer. Anyways, the goal of this video is to explain each of the starters, their in-game lore, their types, their traits, their stat spread, evolution requirements, etc. If you've watched any of my other starter breakdown videos like the one I did for Nexomon Extinction back in the day, or the more recent one I did for Loomian Legacy, you'll know exactly how these videos are formatted and what to expect. If not, check them out when you're done here. I'll leave them both linked below. Anyways, all that said, let's get into it. Alright, so there's a few things in common with each of the starters in the game, which we'll discuss now just to avoid redundancy. Firstly, there are 4 starters total, each of which evolve at level 15 into their second stage and then again at level 36 to their third. Every starter has roughly the same base stat total with different spreads, and all of them get secondary typings in their final forms. Personally, I'm a fan of this because it keeps all the starters relatively balanced, and honestly, dual typings for final forms is something that I think should be a staple for monster taming games, because I feel like it adds a lot of spice to your starter. Anyways, first up we have the Ice type starter, who's described by the professor as being balanced. The Doodlepedia describes them as loyal and brave, as well as cold to the touch, both their fur and tongue. Its traits are Savage, which increases the damage of stab moves at the cost of accuracy, Rush, which increases the speed of this doodle in battle, and the hidden ability Royal Decree, which decreases incoming damage from faster enemies. Since most doodles have the same kind of spread when evolved, just with a higher power level, we're going to be discussing the base stats when we get to the final evolutions of each. When it does evolve, it becomes Furzin, the middle stage, who's described as follows. Furzin have thick, fluffy fur. Sadly, it is freezing to the touch. Large patches of frost, even during the summer, can suggest that a pack has recently come through. So, for those of you who want to know if you could pet the dog, probably not this one. Traits are the same for the most part for all evolutions. If something does change, I will mention it. Furzin has the same traits as its pre-evolution, so no point in naming them again. Anyways, again, it's going to evolve at level 36 into Wolfreeze, a dual ice and beast type. Speaking of beast type, we will be doing a type chart video at some point too, which will explain what types there are and why they exist and stuff like that, so stay tuned. Anyways, Wolfreeze entry reads as follows. Wild Wolfreeze will rarely be seen with each other. They are often the leaders of their own packs, followed by Furzin and Pupski. Their fangs are capable of freezing anything they bite. As you can see with its base stats, much like what's stated at the beginning of this line, this is a very balanced doodle overall. Next up, we have the Fire starter line, which is my personal favorite, starting with Vipember, whom are described as being hissy and nippy. In the wild, they live in swarms with their siblings. They are notorious for starting bushfires. Its available traits are Molt, which has a chance to cure an inflicted status condition each turn, Scorch, which has a chance to increase its magical attack any time a fire attack is used, and a really cool hidden ability being Firewall, which, if attacked with a magical attack, will shoot a fire bolt back at the enemy without using an actual move. Firebolt is a 40 base power move, so while it's not the strongest thing in the world, you're basically getting a free hit in. It'll then evolve into Scorpent, who's described as follows. Sly and sneaky, Scorpent will go out of their way to steal food or belongings from smaller, weaker, or oblivious people or doodles rather than getting their own. It'll once again evolve into its final form, being Insilisk, this awesome fire dark type. Despite their frightening appearance, Insilisk are protective and doting parents, but beware. They are violently territorial and defensive over their young. Once two become mates, they are bonded for life. As you can see, its highest base stats are HP and magic attack, making this line a fire mage of sorts. Next up, we got the Spark type starter, Tabolt, who's described as follows. It rarely opens its eyes, even when awake. Tabolt frequently takes naps to manage its unstable electricity. It's prone to electrical discharge without warning. Its possible traits are light-footed, which prevents enemies from lowering its speed and in turn raising it instead. Anti-paralysis, which removes the paralysis status from the entire team when this doodle is sent into battle. And its hidden trait is Galvanize, which turns basic type attacks into electric. It evolves into Bangalux, whose entry reads, Bangalux is hyper-aware of others due to its increased powers, generally on edge to the world around it. It's often extremely judgmental based on what it senses. Then finally it gains the melee typing and evolves into Zapoera, its final form. It often prefers to keep its eyes closed, instead reading the unique bioelectrical currents of the world around it to navigate. It fights with a unique style of kicks. Its hidden trait actually changes to Capoeira, which causes multi-hit moves to always hit a maximum amount of times, kind of like Skill Link from Pokemon. Its base stats show that it has a chief focus on speed, fitting the Spark type quite well. The fourth and final starter is the Earth type Scrappy, who's described as being energetic and curious, often dragging its tamer off path to explore and loving to play games. Its potential traits are escapist, which guarantees success when fleeing from wild battles, restless, which prevents sleep, and the hidden trait herbivore, which heals it instead of damaging it when taking plant-type attacks. It evolves into Clanky, whose description reads as follows. Always eager to duel, it yearns to hone its skill and strength to protect those it cares about, and prepare itself for evolution. Once fully prepared, it again evolves into Clangatang and adopts the metal secondary typing. The massive blade it carries is astonishingly heavy, but it's capable of swinging it around without issue. A Clangatang puts extreme care into the well-being of its weapon. Interestingly, it gains an entire new set of traits, which include Slash Expert, which increases the damage of slashing moves, Fireproof Armor, which halves the damage of incoming fire attacks, and the hidden trait Parry, which gives it the chance to avoid any contact move. Its base stat total has a chief focus in attack and defense, making it a strong tank. And yeah, there you go, guys. Do keep in mind that Doodle World is only on its 2nd out of 10 keys, which are basically like the game's version of, I guess you could say, badges. A lot of things are subject to change, but come time for a full release, if things change too drastically, I will put out an updated version of this video. Let me know in the comment section below what other type of Doodle World content you'd like to see, because as you could probably guess, I already have a few different types of videos planned. Also, let me know down below who your favorite starter is, and if you are a fan of Doodle World or monster taming games in general, definitely make sure to subscribe to my channel because I put out new monster taming content every single day. You can also check out my Discord, my Twitter, and my Patreon linked below. Special thanks to the patrons, especially Jim Hamilton, Dro Ghost, and Dark Persona, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.